right, let's talk lacrosse. Let's bring in our assistant men's lacrosse coach. Dominic Perella joins the show. Dominic, how are you?
Good, how are you? Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for spending some time with us.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's a time of year where you're trying to squeeze in practice and games and scouting and all that stuff. And
yeah.
It means a lot that you'd spend some time with us here tonight. Boy, you're coming off a pretty good week.
yeah.
I would imagine that it's probably easy to get an invitation to come have a conversation after you beat your arch rival in a hell of a fourth quarter and then hang 34 goals on Wilmington on Saturday. Why don't we just start from an overarching perspective? You won 11 in a row.
Right.
I know this has been a wild couple of years. The COVID stuff, the coaching changes, just trying to keep some positive momentum going during a time you feel like you're kind of grasping at anything you can to hang your hat on. What's the morale of the team like? What's the energy around the season and obviously the success that you've had?
Yeah, the morale, the boys are just buzzing right now. 11 straight wins, and I think it goes credit to Coach Tatro and Coach Keeley from last year as well with bringing in all these guys, and the guys are just – it's a very player-driven team. We don't have to hype the guys up at all before games, before practices. These guys are just bought in. They know every single time we step on the field it's a business trip, and they treat it that way, and they're really just fortunate to be out there playing the games because they know that, right now we only have 2 guaranteed games left. With one more game on Wednesday and then the OAC playoffs, anything can happen. So they're really excited and really battle-tested right now, and I think that shows with us having 11 straight wins heading into Ohio Northern on Wednesday.
And by the way, Ohio Northern, if you haven't followed along with folks, Ohio Northern's no slouch. This is a really, really good team. They score it okay. Their defense is fantastic, and they've got an 11-3 record on the season. When you're coming off a stretch where offensively things seem to be working for you and you're going to play against a team that seems to hang their hat on the defensive side of the ball, what is the strategy like during the week building up to that kind of an opponent? Yeah,
I think it's keep going with the guys that are producing for us first and foremost. So we're constantly giving the ball down to Jake Nano and Kyler Byerly because those two right now are just the best 2 players in the conference. But I also you got to give credit to our defense because during practice we go up against the best defense in the conference, and they handle the offense, pretty much the entire time during practice, and they'll let us know about it. But then, when we go out and we play somebody else, the guys kind of take a deep breath and they're like, all right, we can do this. We understand. Let's keep going with the systems that the coaching staff is putting in place. And they're really bought into the game plan, knowing what we want to do with the scout. And then with our scouting reports, we're just trying to find little pieces that we can help win over Ohio Northern. So doing different things, whether it's, different end line plays, getting guys in, doing different pick plays, different things like that. Trying to get the ball in our best players' sticks throughout the entire game is really going to benefit us throughout the entire season.
I don't want to go too in-depth because I think some folks that might be watching are just interested in learning more about the program and where it is at the moment. But your man-down defense has been exceptional. And I think when you look back on certain games throughout the course of the year, that tends to be where your eyes gravitate toward on the stat sheet. It's like, hey, when we had our backs against the wall, how did we do? And right now, it's not just among the best in the conference. You're 6th nationally in terms of getting out unscathed.
Right.
What kind of energy and emphasis is placed on that particular part of the team when you guys are practicing? Because I have to think that's got to be front and center if you're performing like that.
Yeah, we practice man up, man down, pretty much every single day towards the end of practice. I will say one thing with our defense is no matter how many guys are on the field, those guys just want to win. If it's 6-on-5, 6-on-4, even last year 6-on-3 in the OAC quarterfinal game versus Ohio Northern, they had a 3-man down situation and they came out on top. So those guys know it doesn't matter who they're playing against, how many guys are on the field. Those guys want to win every single battle defensively, and it shows with now that they're 6th in the country in man-down percentage. And you got to give credit to Coach Tatro. He has a million man-down plays that he throws at those guys, and they throw them back at us in practice, and those guys are really, really spearheaded by Coach Tatro and the defensive unit.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, so please, if I'm directing you in the wrong way, correct me. But I have to imagine that Wednesday a win at John Carroll is a defining moment of the season. It's the team that has been so difficult to get past in conference competition. It's sort of been 1A and 1B. There's really not a lot of separation between where Carroll's been and where BW's been. But to beat them on the road, to do it in comeback fashion in the fourth quarter, I mean, man, that had to feel pretty good.
Yeah, that one felt really good, and our guys, they wanted that one, and you could tell that they wanted it. They were bought in from the start, and they bought into the game plan, and they came out, and it was like a 1-2 goal game the entire way, whether we were up by 1 or 2 or they were up by 1 or 2, and it was always just that next play mentality. Whether we were up by 2 or down by 2, it was like, hey, let's get the next one, and let's keep it rolling. So, I think for them, they obviously, the guys on the team, they want another OAC regular season title, but I think we're looking more forward to getting an OAC tournament title coming in May.
Well, it's great that you've got big goals that feel really attainable right now. 12-3 on the season, 11 consecutive wins. I don't want to ask you too much about team leadership because we've had a chance to visit with a couple of your guys, and I get the impression that your upperclassmen really set the tone. So why don't we talk about the youth of the team? The guys that maybe on Saturday in particular against Wilmington stuff the stat sheet a little bit, right? When you win by 32 goals, you get a chance to get some guys in the field that maybe don't see the field as often. And I think when you're having a year like this, the guys who don't typically come up with, game-defining moments, don't get the love and attention, are the ones that really build your program because they have to buy into the fact that they were stars in high school.
Right.
And now they're in roles that not going to see a lot of playing time yet. How have you been impressed with the underclassmen on this year's team that have kind of helped you guys put together this sort of campaign?
Yeah, the younger guys on the team are doing a fantastic job. They come into practice every single day with a positive attitude and mentality of that they're going to get better that day. They know maybe on a Wednesday night or Saturday afternoon they might not get that many reps on game day, but they know that they're how to get on the field from a coaching staff standpoint is prove your worth during practice. So those guys are battling every single day in practice and doing a really good job of even watching themselves on film. That's our biggest thing, is trying to get our guys more lacrosse IQ on film, and they can't necessarily watch themselves on game day, but they can watch themselves 4 days a week in practice and figure out how they fit into our offense or defensive systems, where they can bump up on the depth chart. And those guys are doing a really good job of coming into the office with the coaching staff and trying to figure out how they can get on the field for those Wednesday night or Saturday afternoon games.
We had a chance to speak with Tony earlier in the season after the start where you had lost to a couple of really, really good programs. And the conversation with him was about how you were going to take the lessons you learned from some of those games and apply it moving forward. Now we know it's working because you keep winning games.
Yep.
As you reflect back on losses like the overtime loss to Southern Virginia or playing Denison early on, an overtime win against Grove City, Washington and Lee, those kinds of games, when you look back on them now, what is manifesting that you had been hopeful would manifest based on those early season results?
Yeah, I think, we were definitely battle-tested after those first couple games. Going to first game against Denison, they were a top 20 program and only losing to them by 3. I think a lot of people, when they think of Ohio lacrosse, they think of Denison and Ohio Wesleyan. Now we're competing with Denison in a 3-goal game. And even John Carroll beat Ohio Wesleyan in the regular season as well. So it's nice for us to get battle-tested before we start conference play so we know what we have to work towards and have to fix. And it's also nice to beat a top 20 team in Grove City. And then even today we were checking the rankings after practice, and then we were getting votes for the top 20 in the entire country. So it's really nice to know that, everything that we're doing throughout the entire spring is finally paying off.
Back-to-back one-goal wins over Otterbein and Carroll, and then obviously the big blowout sets up senior night on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock over at Finney Stadium. If you're in town, please go out and support the Yellow Jackets. Dominic mentioned it. There's a chance it could only be 2 games left. We certainly hope that's not the case.
Right.
It doesn't seem like it's trending that way, but you never know. And it's fun to watch a team that seems to be clicking right now. Really proud of what you guys are accomplishing, given all the challenging circunstances you had.
Thank you.
And wish you all the best on Wednesday and beyond. Thanks for spending some time with us.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right, Dominic Perella, our men's assistant lacrosse coach, at BW. All right. So